Hi, welcome to the introductory session on Strategic Business Leader. This is a trial video from private tuition provider ACCA. The content of this paper involves leadership, governance, strategy, risk, technological data analytics, organizational control and audit, finance in planning, decision making, innovation, performance, excellence, change management, and professional skills. In this short video, we will focus on leadership and professional skills. So let's find out what does mean by leadership, or what is the aim of this paper. So the aim of this paper is to demonstrate a range of professional skills demanded by effective leader or to support senior management in direction of organization. Then what does mean by a strategic leader? So a strategic leader is a person who is expected to be analyze business situation, plus provide information, implement effective and appropriate solutions to the organization. So a strategic leader is expected to be a person who can analyze business situations and who can implement effective and appropriate solutions. How that can happen? So they can use technical models, quantitative analysis to draw out key issues and integrate wide range of factors into a coherent argument. So they require clear recommendation, and that must be fit for purpose. Next is strategical thinking. So what does mean by strategical thinking? Taking decisions at higher levels. So we can say strategic thinking means taking decisions at higher level for the longer period of time. So strategic perspective means you are taking a long-term perspective. You are not just looking at the short term, but you are taking the whole picture of that organization, in which you are required to find out issues which can face in longer term. For example, let me mention here an example. Decline in main markets, boycott of products, why you will be interested in boycotting some product? Maybe that is not under corporate social responsibility. So for that purpose, to follow your corporate social responsibility, maybe you will be declining some product. And under that strategical thinking, I can also mention here, you will be looking at whole organization. So what does mean by looking at whole organization? It means you will be looking at organization as well as their divisions, their products, including strategic business units. You are well aware about divisions, products, and strategic business. I just want a little bit explain strategic business unit here. So strategic business units are responsible for their own set of profit and losses. For their own profit and losses. So we can say that these are the autonomous division of a large company that operate as an independent enterprise. So when a company is working, not a company, when a portion is working as an independent enterprise, they have a responsibility for particular range of products and their services. For example, Nestle. Nestle is a decentralized organization where responsibility for operating decision is delegated to local units, and they have high degree of autonomy concerning pricing, distribution, marketing, etc. As we know, Nestle is the largest organization, one of the largest organization in food, who has successfully grown and increased its market share since its foundation in 1866. This already indicates that Nestle overall strategic posture makes sense given the market and countries Nestle participates in. As it's not working in a single country, it's working on a worldwide basis, so they cannot control their things from sitting in one headquarter. So they have delegated their responsibilities to certain areas, to certain local units. Nestle is organized into 7 different worldwide strategic business units. So I'm mentioning 7 here. Those 7 have responsibility for a high level of overall strategic business development, including their acquisitions, including related to entering into the new market. So I can mention here mergers and acquisitions, entering into new market, all sort of decisions like them are done by 7 strategic business units under Nestle. Not just this, parallel to this structure there is a regional organization. Now that regional organization that divides the world into 5 major geographical areas, such as Europe, North America, etc. So for which things regional organization will be responsible? Let me mention the word here. So regional organizations are responsible for developing regional strategies. Regional strategies and assist in overall strategy development process. However, neither strategic business unit nor regional manager get involved in local operating decisions. That will be done by their local managers. Now we will see what are the professional skills that is required for this exam. Those professional skills involved communication, commercial acumen, third one is analysis, fourth is about skepticism, and the fifth one is about evaluation. We will see those one by one. So the key words under communication involves inform, persuade, and clarify. So what does mean by inform? It means when you are informing, it must be concise, objective, unambiguous, and using appropriate media. Media and technology. By the word persuade, persuade means you are going to compel for logical arguments. And by the word clarify, it means simply complex issues to convey relevant information. Relevant information in such a way that adopts an appropriate tone and is easily understood by the intended audience. So if we look at the whole, by the word of communication, we can say what we have to do. We have to express ourselves clearly and convincingly through appropriate medium while being sensitive to the needs of intended users. So which further things we have to consider here? Those involved who is the recipient, why they have requested the report or slides. You also need to distinguish here, are you required to prepare a report in exam, or are you required to prepare a slide in the exam? Okay, then there are key concerns. What arguments are most likely to persuade them? What do they already know? So these sort of questions you will be asking yourself while preparing your answer in exam regarding communication. So this communication part is also called as user focus. Whatsoever you will be preparing, you need to prepare that according to your user, according to your intended user, because they are going to use that information. Secondly, the second word is about commercial acumen. So let's see what is mean by that thing. Let me mention on the next page. So commercial acumen. It's the ability to demonstrate It also requires judgment, professional judgment, and show insight. Ability to demonstrate. It requires awareness of organization, internal and their external factors. By considering external factors, you will be able to demonstrate that organization. Under judgment, you are required to identify key issues. And not just identification of those issues, you are also required to resolve them. Resolving, proposing, and recommending solutions. Solutions to be implemented. The third thing, show insight. What does mean by show insight? It's the perception and work related organization issues. So perception of work related to organizational issues that includes management conflicts, while arriving at appropriate solutions or outcomes. As the third skills required is called as analysis or analyze. It doesn't mean to describe something. It means when you are going to analyze, you are required to look for causes, their context, and their consequences. For example, if we are talking about organizational structure, let's see if we look according to organizational structure, what can be the causes? So the first question will be, why has it got a functional structure? Second is, has it been this way for years? What advantages does or did it gain from this? And last one, are those arguments still valid? So, under context, as we are looking for the example of organizational structure, under causes we will be saying why it has got a functional structure, has it been this way for years, what advantages does it bring to this, are those arguments still valid? Now for the next thing, as the context is again the second part of analysis, so under context we will be looking for the we need to consider whole picture of organization. Consider whole picture. So for example, structure was developed when company had a more limited product range. It means when it was developed, the company has a limited product range. But now there is a strategic need to diversify the product. When the company was developed, at that time they have a limited product range, but now they require a strategic need to diversify their products, their portfolios via entering new markets. Now let's see regarding consequences of those decisions. So what is the consequences behind that? So I'm mentioning here, perhaps the company has outgrown its current structure and needs to adopt say a divisional approach to enable its new strategies. We will revise those functional structures, divisional structures, matrix structure, as this is apart from your paper F1, but still in that exam under SBL we will do that revision work. Now not just that, we also require look for numerical analysis under analysis part. Numerical analysis So for numerical analysis, you are required to break down your analysis into profitability, liquidity, gearing. It means you have to apply your ratio analysis here at this part. What you want to do, you want to identify trends. How you can do that? By looking at key figures under headings. For example, if there is a sales growth, you are required to calculate sales margin. You also need to explain why this has happened. You are required to look for bigger picture, not just at the short term moment, but what will happen in the longer term. Can you identify common causes? Next, under numerical analysis, at the end what you have to do, you have to combine and pull all information together and interpret it to make some higher level comments about the overall performance of the company. Okay, so in under that analysis part, it's not just financial, it's financial plus non-financial work. It means you will use your analytical procedures here to find those things. Fourth skills which is important to clear this exam, that is called as skepticism. Under skepticism, you must be probe, or you're required to use probity. So what you will be looking for under probe or probity? You will be interested in looking for the reasons for issues or problems. What is immediately apparent from the usual resources of your opinions available? So you have looked at the reasons, which reasons are important, or what are the reasons behind those issues and problems. Then you are required to question those facts. So here it would be your facts, your opinions, your assertions, that seeking justifications, and you are required to obtain sufficient and appropriate evidence for the support and acceptance. It's not just that. Under skepticism, you are also required to do challenges. So which thing you are going to challenge? You have to challenge information presented or decisions made. Where there is clearly justified in a professional manner. Okay, so responsible accountants and auditors, not just accountants but auditors, need to probe into issues, to question assumptions and scrutinize and challenge them. This is the work of skepticism skill that you need to bring into this paper. It's important. If you are able to apply your professional skills, you will be able to clear this exam. The last skill that is required is called as evaluation. So for evaluation, you are required to assess, you are required to estimate and appraise. By the word assess, you mean you have to use your professional judgment to assess anything. You need to consider their implications of decisions. By the word estimate, you will be looking for trends, forecast, external and internal factors in that organization. And by the word appraise, it means you need to look for facts, opinions, findings objectively with a view to balance cost, risk, benefit, opportunities. Before making any recommendation, you need to do that work. So you will be looking both financial and non-financial indicators. So you can have a balanced argument. You will be looking at the whole picture of organization. And then last thing, you are required to prioritize. Key aspect of evaluation is that points are weighted and prioritized so that most important issues are developed and discussed. Not just the identification work, but you need to evaluate them, weight them and prioritize them. So you can say quantity is not matter but quality does. So at the time when you will be considering issues, is that issue is a strategic level or operational level? How urgently response is required? What is the potential impact for materiality? And do not underestimate ethical issues. Importance of ethical issues. Last one you also need to look for, is that relevant? So relevance of issue. So this is the brief introduction about strategic business leadership. I'm just going back to discuss these things in much detail. So here, your professional skills. You have communication, you have professional acumen. You need to apply analysis, skepticism, and evaluation. So under communication, you are required to inform, persuade, and your decision or your recommendation must be clarified. So when you will be informing, it must be concise, objective, unambiguous, using appropriate media and technology. You will be complying with logical arguments. For clarify those complex issues, you need to convey relevant information. So you will be expressing yourself clearly, convincing through appropriate medium, while being sensitive to the needs of intended users. You must be very sensitive. For example, did they require a report from you, or they asked to create slides? So under if they, for example, if they ask you to prepare slides, so for that you need to pick key points, just prioritize them, then present them in a logical order with maximum 5 points per slide. You will be accompanying notes. There were key points plus further details and explanations can be added. Okay, so you need to be very careful what is the requirement of your examiner. Next thing is commercial acumen. It means it is the ability to take quick decision. So you are required to demonstrate, you are required to look for awareness of organization, what are the external factors of that organization. You are required to use your professional judgment, find out the key issues, resolve them, propose and recommend solutions which needs implementation. Then you are required to look for perception of work related to organizational issues and management conflicts. Then we saw the third skill that is required is called as analysis. So under analysis, you are required to look for what is the causes of that thing, what is the context of that thing, and what will be the consequences of that action. You are also required to look for numerical analysis. Here, for example, if you are applying your ratio analysis, it's not important that you are going to apply all of the ratios, but you need to look in your scenario what is required there. For example, is gearing ratios required or liquidity ratios important to apply there, or you can go for profitability. Under skepticism, you must be probe. You must apply your probity, you must question the facts, and you need to challenge. Then we saw about evaluation. Under evaluation, you are required to assess, estimate, appraise, and prioritize. So So when you will be prioritizing, you are required to consider what is the issue. Is that at a strategical, is that going to hit you at a strategical stage or at the operational stage? How urgently response is required? What are the potential impacts for materiality? Just do not underestimate the importance of ethical issues. You also require to look for, is that issue relevant to the scenario or not? I hope you enjoyed this section of the leadership part. Rest of the chapters will be covered in the later videos. Thank you so much for joining.